What's up, everybody?
Do you know what that is?
I do not.
Gene and Jude's. The best hot dogs in the world. Hi, guys. How are you? Go ahead, Tarble. I was screwing around.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Welcome back, everybody, to the world's best fantasy show right here on 1252 Sports Chicago. We missed you last week with the holiday. Hope everyone had a great holiday and got some rest, got to eat lots of food, watch some football, and come back at it rejuvenated. How we doing tonight, gentlemen?
Look who's back. Look below who's back at making his triumphant return. People were really
upset.
Who
are you talking about?
Mouse. Where did Wait, you guys do this all the time. I don't want to be left alone, so talk among yourselves.
Tyler, how you been, man?
Guy. Oh, it's been a crazy couple weeks. Glad to be back on here though, talking some football with you guys.
Think about this, guys. Is this, if I'm correct, the last bye week?
No, next week.
No, next week is.
Oh, I can't believe that. I hate buys. Nobody's complaining, and everybody's getting hurt before the magical one extra week.
Of
Wait
course.
until you start hearing about that 17th week. And there's some mighty, if you look at the schedule, there's some pretty good games in the 17th week that might decide.
Absolutely.
Because everything's clustered at the bottom. All these teams are clustered. Still see. I read something. Think this. I tried to send it to myself, but I couldn't. I read there is still a chance Detroit can make the playoffs. There's 57 things that can happen for Detroit to make the playoffs. Obviously, it's never going to happen, but think about it. That's why they still don't have an X or whatever by their name in the standings, because they're still alive in the playoff hunt.
Yeah, I mean, you look at a team like the Bears, and with as mediocre as their record's been this season, there's still potential for them to make the playoffs as a 7th seed because the NFC is so wide open. You have
guys, I got breaking news. I got breaking news that just came across.
What do you got?
Antonio Brown is still suspended for 3 games. I mean, why'd they wait now to do that when he was hurt? That was weird. So now he's really going to be off at least 6 weeks, right?
No, well, he's been hurt. He's been hurt since week 6. So no matter what, he's been out for a while. But no, it's a 3-game suspension. And before the suspension was even announced, Bruce Arians came out and said he's going to miss the next 2 games anyway. So it's just giving him an extra week to rest up before the end of the season, heading into the playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, pardon my French here, guys, but what a crock of shit. You literally submit a fake vaccination record and
which is illegal.
Right.
It's like running a red light. It's like punching a cop. It's illegal. It's not Aaron Rodgers, people. It's illegal to the law. Go ahead, Turb.
No, I mean, just how you get away with something like that for so long and then your chef breaks it because you're too cheap to pay him. Come on, guys. I mean, you're looking at a guy that's making millions of dollars per year in the NFL, and he can't afford to pay his chef, so his chef gets pissed off and breaks it. I don't understand the logic behind it whatsoever.
Do you think he's still staying at Tom Brady's house in Tampa? Remember, he was, when they first brought him in, he let him stay there. And now you don't hear anything. Can you imagine Gazelle at night saying to Tom Brady, get him the F out of here?
Get him out of the basement. I want my basement back.
And that's where I do my yoga. I mean, get him out of here. Is he still living there? I want to know. I want to know from one of our hundreds of thousands of fans. I want to know if Antonio Brown is still living in Tom Brady's house.
We ask the tough questions here on the world's best fantasy show. That's for sure.
What we do. So let's do a little fantasy. First of all, I'm a bye this week, which I thought was last, but I'm old. Titans, Panthers, Browns, and Mouse's beloved Packers.
Mm-hmm.
What do they do this week? Heal his toe?
Yeah.
He's got the COVID toe.
No, so it's actually
isn't it broken?
toe. It's a broken toe, and he was contemplating having surgery on it, but I guess he decided against it, and he's just taking the bye week to rest it up.
Joe Rogan gave him some horse dewormer, so he'll be fine. He'll be good to go for next week.
Okay, Tarbill, before we move on, I have to ask our Packer encyclopedist, 2022, next season. Right now, if the season ended today, they'd be high up in the playoffs. What, first seed? Whatever the case may be. Even if he doesn't win the Super Bowl. No, even if he does win the Super Bowl, is he back next year?
I mean, as I've said the whole time we've been on this show, I think he stays. So, I mean, so there hasn't been really any reports throughout the season of them butting heads at all. You've seen the Packers' willingness to bring in guys throughout the season to come help. They did clear out cap space. And pretty much that's all he asked for, is just to be included in decisions. Not to be the final guy to make the decisions, but just like, hey, what do you think about possibly bringing in this guy? Like most of the other teams do with big superstars. You see it across all leagues.
Okay, but I have to stop you there, though. I don't like that philosophy. If you want to go ahead and ask players their opinion, no, that's the general manager and the coach's job to be able to bring in the talent around that star player to make them successful. I don't care what Aaron Rodgers' opinion is on a receiver. What if he doesn't like him? I mean, he doesn't like his own family. Come on.
But maybe his girl, that actress, Shane Woodley, whatever her name is, maybe she don't want to live there half a year. Maybe she wants him to go. Hey, let me tell you something. You know a new landing spot? Right now, and we can start getting off the Rodgers stuff and talking about other players and doing a thing called fantasy. Right now, the Rams' biggest problem might be Matthew Stafford. Think about all the hoopla around him. This guy has never won a book. And it's not like he had the greatest receiver at his time as his wideout there in Detroit. Megatron. For any of you who don't know Calvin Johnson, go look him up on YouTube. Wow. He was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
They were stuck. The Rams, instead of building for the future, OBJ is questionable. He might not play Sunday. He's already hurt. Whoa, what a surprise there. The Rams, I'm out here, people. I'm not a Rams fan, so I don't care. But at the end of the day, whoa, the Rams, you talk about the old saying, screw the pooch. That's what they did.
They laid all their cards on the table for this season to try to make a run.
Well,
and they've hit a
for
brick
the new
wall.
stadium and the Super Bowl there. How much do they want to be now the second team since Tampa Bay did it last year, but a brand new stadium and they have the first Super Bowl? That's what they built for. Even the guys on defense that have the biggest names in the world are playing like crap.
So they've been doing this for the last couple of years. It's always win now, win now, win now. They haven't used a first-round pick, and I think it's been at least 4 years. I don't think they have another one next year either. So, I mean, this is just something the Rams have done. They've proven that there's ways to build rosters other than through the draft. And, I mean, we'll see how it works out for them in the long run. Look at how it worked out for Houston trading away all their draft picks. Now look at them; they're a trash can.
Laughing stock.
It's so funny. They're still talking about the season went awry when who was the new running back? What's his name?
Darrell Henderson.
No, the one that got injured. That was going to be
Cam Akers.
Cam Akers. They're talking about him like he was the second coming of Eric Dickerson, and now since he got hurt in preseason, we're screwed. I mean, there's something strange in Dodger Town here, and it's called the Rams. Hey, let's talk, and I'm going to work backwards for the schedule this week because we do run out of time when we're talking about certain games, and I have to talk about what obviously has to be the game of the week, maybe the game of the season. And that's the hottest team in the NFL right now, the New England Patriots, going into Buffalo, and there's a projected snowstorm. Guys, what do you think?
I think this game is going to be a breakout I can't even say a breakout game for Mac Jones. He's already had a couple breakout performances this season, but I think this is going to be a true test for him, his resilience, and how he can lead that team. Everyone knows when there's snow involved, things get a lot more complicated. And what's going to happen? Is he going to be able to handle it, or is Josh Allen and Bills going to stomp all over him? I don't know what's going to happen in this game. I'd like to think the Patriots are going to win, but who knows? We could have the Bills of 3 to 4 weeks ago before they went on a downward trend where they're scoring 40 points a game. And what's going on in the Bills organization is an even better, more important question to this game. What's going on? Has Brian DeBall and the coaching staff there in Buffalo finally been figured out? What's going on, guys?
First of all, no running game. Go ahead.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Their issue is no running game. They're just a one-dimensional team, and defenses know that, and they know if we could slow down the passing game, you don't even have to stop it. Just slow it down. They know Devin Singletary, Matt Breida, or Zach Moss. None of them are going to get the job done.
And it's embarrassing when you think about that's been their backfield for a couple of seasons. They haven't ever tried to go out and get a veteran to bring him in there. They have basically been happy with Moss and Singletary. And let's face it, every year when we go into our draft, we hope, is this the year Singletary breaks out? Is this the year Moss breaks out? I'm going to take him in the 10th, 11th round just in case they're bums.
No.
I'm telling you, I want New England for some reason. What would make me happy this season is a Super Bowl. Sorry, Mouse. Tampa Bay versus New England. Brady versus Belichick and the kid. I mean, that kid's
it would
doing
be a great watch.
That kid is doing everything that has been asked about him. Everybody said he was the most pro-ready coming out because he played for Alabama. I mean, do you think San Francisco's looking at him right now and saying, "Whoa"?
No, I don't think he'd have the same success in any other system that he's having in.
No, I agree with you. That's what we were talking about off the air about Brady.
I'm a big fan of Trey Lance, though, in San Francisco. I think once it gets turned over to him, I think the sky's the limit for that offense.
You know, thinking about another. Go ahead, Turbo.
We got a couple questions here in the chat that I want to address. So, which team will win? Team A, Lamar, Miles Sanders, Tevin Coleman, Tyler Lockett, Waddle, Hopkins, Andrews, Tampa Bay, and Justin Tucker. Or Team B, Josh Allen, Eckler, Madison, Kirk, Renfro, Freiermuth.
I'm already going B.
Patterson, Arizona, and Folk. I'm going to go Team B as well.
Yeah, it's Team B because it's Alexander Madison week, baby. It's the best weeks of the year.
And then the follow-up questions
Good luck, Rose.
Would you start the Patriots defense then or Arizona's defense?
Whoa.
I think they're both good plays, but Arizona going up against the Bears is a better play. I mean, the Bears.
The Red Rocket's going to light it up.
I mean, he scored 16 points against the Lions on Thanksgiving.
Right. He might get 7. And then also, should I take Nick Folk out because of the storm? Yes, I absolutely
now they're calling it a storm.
Yes, that would be a smart move.
It could be a blizzard.
This is when you look at the Weather Channel about 15 minutes before your roster's needed. You might have to pick somebody up off a waiver or your second kicker. But if it's a storm, a Buffalo storm, whoa. And by the way, speaking of San Francisco, give me, where I think they should have taken Mac Jones. Let's not forget the play of Kendrick Bourne, the wideout for Patriots. He was supposed to be their stud at San Francisco.
And then we got one more question in the chat here from Q. Q says, what's going on, fellas? Got a couple lineups I need help with. Muth or Hawkinson. Also, choose 2 out of these 3. Mooney, Montgomery, Mike Williams. For me, I'm going to say Hawkinson to the first question. And my follow-up there would be Montgomery and Mooney. I would stay away from Mike Williams. As bad as the Bears offense has been, David Montgomery's still been very productive out of the backfield, and Mooney's the only guy that's going to catch the ball for the Bears on Sunday. So
my change is there. Leave Montgomery, take Williams. Go ahead.
So they're I'm going to lean Freiermuth there. So Hawkinson over the last, it's been a while, has been pretty inconsistent, and he doesn't have the touchdown upside that Pat Freiermuth has. So, I mean, I lean Pat Freiermuth at tight end, and then I'd go David Montgomery and Mike Williams for the 2 out of the 3 he asked.
So there we were all together the last one, and this one we all 3 had difference.
And one more here from JC. We got in a half PPR league, flexing Hunter Renfrow or Williams.
I think Williams, I assume it's the running back, Javion Williams of the Broncos. I think he's going to have a big game. I love Williams this week.
So, yeah, we need a follow-up on that. Which Jay Williams, Javonte Williams or Jamal Williams?
I think it's Javonte Williams on Broncos.
Well, because Jamal Williams is starting this week because DeAndre Swift is out. So we need clarification on that.
Type in what team. We're trying to help, dude. We're trying to help, but that's going to be
RN.
Right now? Oh, Lions.
Oh, okay. I still get Jamal.
His other question, Stafford or Herbert? I'm going Justin Herbert all day long on that one.
Off the air, you heard me talking about Stafford. I'm going Herbert.
I'd go with Stafford just with the matchup. He's got Jacksonville at home, and with how he's played the last couple weeks, Darrell Henderson might miss the game. So, I mean, I think we get a little bit more of the Matt Stafford we saw earlier in the season.
OBJ might miss the game. Don't forget,
and then we got one more.
And you don't have Woods. Okay.
We got one more here from Q. Knox, Judy, or Damian Harris for his flex position?
I'm going Damian Harris. I want to see him in a snowstorm. He's a bull.
I would agree. I think he's going to persevere through that storm and have a big game. What's your thought, Ty?
Full PPR, I'd probably lean Jerry Judy, but half for standard league, I'd probably go with Damian Harris.
Okay. Well, we're all 3 agreeing too much. All right, let's go. Or do you want to take a break right now and come back and talk Steelers-Ravens?
Yeah, let's go ahead and take a break.
I don't even want to talk Steelers-Ravens. I don't even want to talk that game. I'm embarrassed about what I've said about Ben Roethlisberger, and now he's gone right back. The guy it's like he had a shot of adrenaline, and now he stinks worse than anything.
He saw our podcast and he's like, "Well, I can't let the great space talk shit about me. I gotta straighten up."
Let's take a break and talk about how the Broncos are going to go into Kansas City and win.
All right. Here's a quick word, guys, from our sponsor, Nick and Ivy, and we'll be right back with you in 60 seconds.
Hello. This is Paul from Nick and Ivy Brewing Company. We are located at 1026 South State Street in historic downtown Lockport, Illinois. We are very excited to be partnering up with the Fat Mike Chicago Sports Show, as well as the 1252 brand, because we are one of the few Chicagoland breweries that embrace sports and sports culture. Come in for a fresh brewed beer made right here in Lockport while catching the game of your favorite team. Stay for the live music that we have booked every weekend, or just come for a cozy atmosphere to enjoy a good conversation with a friend, loved one, or complete stranger. Nick and Ivy makes you feel right at home no matter what the occasion is. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook by searching for Nick and Ivy Brewing Company. Visit our website for our up-to-date tap list or to go shopping on our online store at nickivybrewing.com. That's Nikivy brewing.com. Come in today for fresh brewed beer born and raised in Lockport, Illinois.
And we are back, and I think Space has a picture of Nick and Ivy Brews on his phone displayed for everybody to see.
No, that's on my. Oh, okay, it's on my phone. I am just giving Nick and Ivy people a little love. Bless them. Okay, argue with me, guys. I think the Broncos are going in and beating the Chiefs. The Chiefs have been the last 3 weeks that they've won. I don't understand that. I don't think they should have won almost any of those guys. I'm going with the Broncos.
Well, before we get into that, we did get a couple questions while we were on break. We've got the questions firing in tonight. So would you consider benching Josh Allen this week because of the storm? In my waivers, I have Heineke, Big Ben, Ryan, or Garoppolo. I would not consider benching him. If you do go that route, I would go Big Ben out of those 4.
No, I would not. I would not bench Josh Allen, but I think Heineke's the best play out of there if you do decide to pivot.
And then a follow-up here, Broncos game. He has Jerry Jeudy, but might start Christian Kirk instead. I think that might be the smart play. As tough as it is to do, I think Kirk might have a big game.
They might not play. I think Kirk's going to light it up against the Bears. Yeah.
I think you're killing me here.
There's too many mouths to feed in that offense. I'd go with Jeudy because the Broncos are going to have to put up points to keep up with the Chiefs.
But they're not gonna.
They're
Cardinals. Yes, they are.
Yeah. I mean, the Chiefs have a pretty terrible defense. The Cardinals can get a lead in this and just sit on it.
What's his name's going to sit on Tyreek Hill? Who am I thinking of? Their first-round draft pick.
Oh,
the Broncos'
Surtain?
first-round draft pick. Yeah.
Patrick Surtain.
Going to sit on Hill. Hill's going to have a terrible game. Go Broncos. I don't know why I like the Broncos. I like the Chiefs too, but I like
this comment here couldn't be more true. The Bears give a lot to slot receivers. The Bears give too much to slot receivers. This bend not break defense that Sean Desai has inherited from Chuck Pagano is absolutely pitiful. Vic Fangio's slapping himself in the face looking at what this team has done to the defense since he's been gone out of Chicago.
I have no sympathy for the Bears anymore. I have zero sympathy. Nagy is still there. Let Nagy go get a college job. There's plenty of them to go get.
So that's one thing we haven't talked on yet. And since we didn't have a show last week, it was broken here in Chicago the week of Thanksgiving that Matt Nagy was going to be fired after the Bears game, regardless of whether the team won or lost. Then there was a big deal with the press asking Nagy these questions. He denied it all. Supposedly, George came down. Please shut the fuck up. Supposedly, George McCaskey came down and decided that it was a good idea to talk to the team and clarify that Matt Nagy's their guy. Is Matt Nagy the head coach of the Chicago Bears next year, guys? Any chance at all?
No. Zero. No.
Zero.
Nada.
So Zero, follow up to that. Where's he coaching? Does he go to Notre Dame?
Notre Dame just hired their defensive coordinator full time.
Okay.
He follows Adam Gase into coach. He follows Adam Gase into coaching high school.
I don't even know that I'd want him coaching JV at this point, but what?
I love screwing around.
For those of you that are listening to this after the fact, Space just shared his Trump bobblehead with the audience.
I love it. I just don't think Bears. If Nagy isn't fired, Nagy should be fired on the 17th week when the clock hits 4 zeros in the fourth quarter. That's when Nagy should be fired.
He should be fired in week 14 so they can begin interviewing candidates before the season's over with the new rule.
I agree with you. But all of a sudden, after listening to this thing today, talking about Day and all the power these guys have, they don't have it anymore in the NFL. You got a president of football operations. You got a general manager. You got 9 million coordinators that all do their own thing. It's not fun anymore. All you do is stand up there talking to people with, your clipboard in front of your mouth, that mouth readers are like anybody wants to steal anything Matt Nagy is saying.
Right. Maybe he'll go be the CEO of McDonald's and head coach a team over there after the season. You guys saw the McDonald's commercial with Matt Nagy, right?
No, I did not see that.
So he did a team building commercial about McDonald's in the Chicagoland area, and how they're such a great team and they have such collaborative effort, and come join the McDonald's team in Chicagoland because it's fantastic. Horrible look for a guy that has won how many games this season?
One
4?
last Bears question, and we got to get back to if Matt Nagy, you ran into him near your house at a McDonald's and says, "Hey, dude, I'm going to buy you 2 McRibs. Are you going to finish both McRibs?"
No, I'm going to kick him in the balls and not take the McRibs because I don't like them.
I love them.
I probably wouldn't take anything from that guy.
They used to be better. The McRibs, not as good as it used to be, or my palate's getting different, but not as good as it used to be. So, guys, let's make fun of the Ravens Steelers. What happened to the Steelers? You would play Roethlisberger against the Ravens?
No.
Garbo?
Not even in a 2 QB league.
I would. I think Big Ben is making a comeback, and he's going to surprise a lot of people come the end of the season.
Big Ben is QB 25 on the year. He's QB 25 on the year.
He's been looking better every week. What if this is his breakout week where he comes out and
whoa. Which week did he look better in?
Yeah.
Because
last week he was terrible.
He said
you had too much turkey. You had that aprophilian. What is it called? And you still got it in your body.
As the chosen rose here says, he's better than Rudolph.
But he might not be better than Haskins.
I think he's better than Haskins.
It's not hard to be better than Rudolph.
You know the biggest mistake the Steelers made? Najee Harris. I feel sorry for the guy. I mean, he gets the ball 100. That's the last thing in the world with your first pick with the QBs out there that they could have taken. Offensive line help. Najee Harris, great player. He's going to be great for us in future years. But you know what? If you don't have the equipment for him to work, it's a waste of time.
Yeah, just look at what's going on with Saquon in New York. They spent the second
Saquon just keeps on getting hurt. Okay, great question. Let's take the time capsule for a second right now, Darble and Mouse. We're getting into the time question. Next year's first 5 running backs off the board. 5. Next year. Based off of, forget about any rookies coming out. Let's just go off of who do we think right now, if you got into a time capsule, season ended right now, who's the top 5 RBs?
You want to go first, Tarbo?
I'll go first. In no particular order, or you want them ranked 1 through 5?
Well, we could go 1 through, so we don't have to do all 5. Let's go, Tarbo, you start with 1. Mouse, you'll go with 2. I'll go with 3. Tarbo, 4, and then let's just see.
Number 1, Derrick Henry.
Jonathan Taylor.
Damn. Okay, perfect thing, because I would have taken Taylor first, and then Henry. But the bottom line is, who's number 3?
Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
No, I will never take Christian McCaffrey. Not when a running back, go back and look at the history. When you get multiple years in a row missing double-digit games, no, never will I take him again. So who would you take if you take McCaffrey 3rd? Who do you take 4th?
Go ahead, Ty.
I mean, you guys might argue with me with this, and most of the fantasy football community will argue with me, but Joe Mixon. I've been pounding the table for Joe Mixon for years, and it's finally paying off.
It's finally paying off for me because I took your advice, and I've got him playing in 2 leagues this season. So
I would take Mixon 4. I don't even
agree.
know what 5 it could be. A Najee Harris. If it's Ben, it's not Najee Harris.
Yeah, it's a toss-up between Najee, Eckler, Kamara.
And don't forget Barkley. If you say McCaffrey, you got to say Barkley. I don't believe in him any year. This is 2 years in a row. These dudes have been injured, and I don't trust them.
Well, follow up in this future draft. Where does David Montgomery go? A guy that's been 100-yard per game rusher previously to getting hurt, came back and he's still putting up 70 to 100 yards in a putrid offense. Where do you take a guy like that?
Sixth round. If he's on the Bears, he should drop to the 6th round.
He's still a starting running back. He's a third
if you're
round
going
pick
to
next
take,
year.
don't
That's
forget.
I was
don't forget, receivers are becoming more important than ever. I think next year's
not in
draft.
Fantasy.
What about Cook?
I think Dalvin Cook's right behind all the guys
He's done, isn't he? Injured?
He's got a shoulder injury. He's only supposed to miss a couple weeks.
2 years.
It's not career
2 years ago. It's a good thing.
You're killing me, Smalls.
It's a hard question.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't figure it out. That's how it's such a weird year this year. All of a sudden, every sports radio station in the country is talking about Justin Herbert, and then he has the worst game of his career. That would be the week I would take Justin Herbert, and then I trade him. So it doesn't matter. All right, guys, let's go to what is going to be a fun game. 49ers at the Seahawks. What the F is wrong with Russell Wilson?
His finger. So if you follow the original timeline of his injury, this week is the week he was supposed to return. I mean, I don't think his finger's been right. You've been noticing he hasn't really thrown the ball downfield much. He still is a little bit, but he's been hyper-targeting Gerald Everett a lot around the line of scrimmage because I don't think he could throw the ball downfield with his finger injury.
I would agree with that. I think in regards to this game, I think as Tyler mentioned, with the timeline being that now would be his first game back, I think we start to see him air it out a little bit more. And I think at home in Seattle with that 12th man, as they call their field, I surely think that they pull it out and beat the 49ers this weekend.
I don't think so.
I go
that
49ers.
Defense is that defense is horrendous.
The 49ers are garbage. They barely beat the Bears.
What do you mean? They've been on a roll lately.
Yeah.
Elijah Mitchell is going to run the ball down that defense's throat.
I'm sending a medical team over to your abode and to see what's wrong with you. But I'm going 49ers, Garoppolo. And there's a question. Is Elijah Mitchell their running back next season, or what's the guy they took in the 2nd round? Trey Lance? No, that was the QB.
No, Trey Sermon. Trey Sermon, the guy
Sermon.
The guy you made a trade for and got kicked out of your league with.
Well,
that's right.
They're missing all the fun in the world playing with me, and so it doesn't matter.
You're getting into one of our leagues next season because we're not kicking you out. Well, I can't promise the commissioner DaMouse won't kick you out. He's pretty tough. Guy's an asshole.
Is he tough, Mouse? Are you tough?
Well,
Let's go.
when you're dealing with a bunch of fools doing stupid things all day long, I mean, you got to put the hammer down sometimes.
Raiders, the WFT. All of a sudden, Heineke. This is a good game. This is a playoff game. Both of them are in the hunt for the playoff. Washington football team, Antonio Gibson found his mojo last week. So I would play him this week. I mean, the Raiders are a little bit screwed up. They're still playing decent ball. Jacobs is playing decent. This is going to be a fun game.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I like Heineke in this game. I like Heineke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
who would have thought we'd be saying that at this point? But no, Heineke has been solid the last few weeks, and he's a guy that's fighting for a job, right? He's not definitely by no means is he the future of the Washington football team, but he's trying to become that. Mm-hmm. So he's going to try his damnedest each and every week, game in and game out, to try to prove that he's a starting quarterback in this league. And I think the kid's going to have a good game this weekend.
I think, and let's not, the most overlooked NFL player just might be on the Raiders, and it might be Derek Carr.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This kid has had he's not a season, this guy has had a season, and let's face it, put up and downs. Braylon Edwards was supposed to be better than he's been. You got the other guy that just decided to go about 180 miles an hour and crash his car into a wall or whatever it was. I mean, there's been some problems. Then, of course, you got John Gruden. And Carr still keeps on performing, 300 yards a game, 2 to 3 touchdowns a game. The kid's phenomenal. And Waller is just a great tight end.
Waller is more than likely going to miss the game this week. He has not practiced all week. He's listed as doubtful.
Right.
Sucks.
Foster Moreau, nice streaming tight end.
There we go. So we're almost at the 40-minute mark here, guys. Why don't we go ahead and take a break?
Do you know how hungry you know what I'm having for dinner?
Warmed up Gene and Jude's.
Oh, I wish Gene Jude's was out here. If I really knew how to work, I'd say, hey, you want a franchise? I don't know how many people. Was weird. Neither of you went there. They don't let any people. You have to have the mask. You can't stand in there anymore. I mean, it's really weird. We're in a weird world. And I do want to set some time aside because I want to knock 2 head coaches this week in college football. And I think you guys know who I'm talking about.
I absolutely know at least one of them. So before we do that and before we get into Tyler's bets of the week, let's go ahead and take a quick break and hear from our guys at the Jonathan Darren team with the Coldwell Banker Real Estate Group, as well as Mark Berardi and Associates.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Darren, licensed real estate broker with Coldwell Banker Real Estate Group in Homer Glen. Are you looking to buy or sell? Have you been disappointed in the past? The Jonathan Darren team with Coldwell Banker Real Estate Group focuses on providing you with a concierge level of service during the process of buying or selling. We are a service-oriented team with a fresh and professional approach to selling real estate. Our goal is to combine knowledge, skills, and passion to exceed our clients' expectations, and most of all, we truly care. We are a knowledgeable real estate team focused on offering expertise and innovative solutions for our clients. The Jonathan Darren team has 5 full-service real estate brokers and a dedicated full-time marketer servicing all of Chicagoland. We will customize a detailed plan around your timeline for a sale, purchase, investment, estate, or other needs. Real estate transactions can be stressful, but don't need to be. Let us handle it for you. Visit our website, homesbyjdt.com, or call 708-308-1938 today. Expect better in real estate. Choose the Jonathan Darren team.
Real estate is hot right now, and you need an attorney to handle all of this. My guy, Mark Berardi, does this all day long. He's a straight shooter. There's no fancy language. He's just to the point. And he and his team get the deal done. There's no BS. He also does estate planning, trusts, wills, and power of attorney. He has great reviews up and down the board from a ton of happy clients. For him and his big team, they're all just down to earth and normal people as much as he is. You will not be disappointed you went with him. He's located in Homer Glen and New Lenox and handles real estate all over Illinois. There's no place too far, so give him a call today at 708-942-8030. Again, that's 708-942-8030, or look him up online at Mark Berardi and Associates.
And we are back, guys. Before we get into the coaches that Space loves to hate, we got a question in the chat as we were on break, so let's go ahead and address that real quick. Can a commissioner change the schedule because of the extra week in week 13? And are they wrong for thinking that changes the entire outcome of their league? So
I don't understand the question.
So the way I'm reading this is that the commissioner has changed the schedule or changed a rule because of the extra week in the season.
Well, did he just find out about it?
at this point in the season. So
I say no.
So I commissioned 7 fantasy football leagues. Any rule changes that happen in the middle of the year need to be unanimously decided by the entire league. If there's one person that votes against it, you can't make any changes. your commissioner should have known this was coming. It was pretty common knowledge there's going to be an extra week this year. You cannot make any changes in the middle of the season like that.
I'd probably kick the commissioner out. Yeah, he just changed it. Obi-Wan, you'll be in our league next year. Hey, by the way, I just found out on one of my apps, I got really good information on here. Wait, listen to this. Where'd it go? Here we go. Derek Carr is averaging 310.4 yards per game, number 1 in the NFL.
Really?
How do you like that? Pretty good, huh?
It's a stat that I wouldn't have guessed.
Okay, let's
Obi's
talk.
saying here that they're making him seem like he's nuts. Just to
Tell him
reiterate,
to call us.
Send them the link. Send them the link to this and put the timestamp in it too. 40 minutes.
Right.
You tell them
but
that
the
they're
bottom
absolutely
line
nuts.
Here, I'm going to go off track for a little bit because obviously college football, without college football, we might not have the NFL. What happened this week with not one, but two shows the greed of the head coaches, and I'm talking about Lincoln Riley. And, of course, I'm talking about Brian Kelly from Notre Dame.
Yes.
And I blame the NCAA because you can't have Sean McVay go to the Bears tomorrow. He can't quit the Saints and go to the Bears. I think it's terrible. And if you were a parent, how can you ever trust a head coach sitting there when you have your 18, 17-year-old son and he's trying to make a career for himself? I mean, let's face it. These head coaches are going to the best of the best players in high school. And I'm not an LSU fan anyways because my grandson goes to Alabama. But if I was an LSU fan, I couldn't root for them as long as he's there because he pimped how many guys on the college roster? 90? I think there's 90. Huh?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
There's a lot. And I think what they did and the NCAA should be ashamed of themselves. I think it's terrible.
I would agree, especially when you look at Kelly and the way that he handled his departure. I mean, he didn't even meet with the team. He just got on a flight and left. How tremendously disrespectful is that to Notre Dame and the program that he's leaving behind? And the players, you got to remember that these young players are human beings who look up to those role models, their coaches, for guidance in their life. And you just up and leave without even saying goodbye. That's totally unacceptable.
So with the Brian Kelly news, the news actually leaked while he was at a recruit's house. He was recruiting a student to come play for Notre Dame.
No. I'll tell you the story. You're so close. It's unbelievable. His head recruiter was at a house and got a text that Brian Kelly just quit. And the text back said, "So now I'm an effing liar." Yeah, you just closed the door on a recruit. You promised a family. It's just not the player. You promised because you know darn well that's a question every parent would ask. They asked Nick Saban, "When are you going to retire?" You know Saban's never going to go to another program. Never. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, how you can do this to kids and their parents or aunts and uncles or
disgusting.
Whatever.
I heard Kelly's exit meeting, too, with the team was 11 minutes long. That's it.
And I heard 2 minutes, and I have 4 minutes. So now...
I heard it was 11, and then the players stayed afterwards and had a meeting themselves for 12 minutes, which was longer than the meeting Brian Kelly had with them.
And I hear
guys.
People on sports radio, guys, defending them because they were both offered so much money. You know what? Brian Kelly was offered $95 million. Okay? What's he making? $50 million? he's not going to spend all that money anyways, or unless he's going to buy a Taj Mahal. And I mean Lincoln
couldn't
Riley.
turn that down.
Lincoln Riley. Well, right, you can't turn it down. Lincoln Riley was offered. He had a $6 million house in Oklahoma. They told him they would pay it off for him. So now you owe nothing. They would build him a $6 million house here in southern Los Angeles, Southern Cal, and he would have 24/7 usage of a private plane.
For him and his family.
For him and or his family, let alone a shitload of money. How do you turn it down? But don't you owe it? Your pride, your humanness owes it to kids and other families. I mean, 2 stars have already left Oklahoma to go to USC. Because they didn't go to Oklahoma, they went to the head coach.
Right.
Yeah, and I want to tell Rattler, who now entered the portal to transfer, you're still going to be a bum. Even though you were the Heisman protected winner this year, you're still going to be a bum, whatever college you do. So that's my rant. And I'm repulsed by it.
I agree. I am also disgusted with the way these coaches handled the situations. We got a quick question here in the chat. Jamal Williams, Miles Sanders, T. Higgins, pick 2. I'm going Sanders and Higgins in this situation, guys.
And I was going to say you just can't trust Sanders. You don't know if they're going to run, if it's going to be who, whatever. I would take T. Higgins, and I'd probably go Jamal.
Yeah, I'd go with both running backs there. So for the Eagles, Jordan Howard is out for this game. So it's Boston Scott and Miles Sanders. It's not even a for sure that Boston Scott is playing. He's still officially questionable. So I mean, I'd lean the 2 running backs, and I mean it's a very, very, very easy matchup. It's the best matchup you can ask for a running back going up against the Jets.
Let's go, since we only have a few minutes before we go to Tyler for the picks. Let's do the Bears-Cardinals real quick. Do the Bears have a chance? By the way, Arizona this year is 6-0 on the road with over 32 points a game average. The Bears will be lucky if they snip 12 points.
So, for those that have not heard yet, I guess everyone's probably seen it at this point. But in case you haven't, Justin Fields is not going to be active on Sunday. The Red Rifle is going to be the starter.
This? Justin Fields. Put the hat on your head. I don't need it sitting on a bale of hay.
Okay, so Justin Fields will not be active. The Red Rocket's the starter, and Nick Foles is the backup. So in the event that Andy Dalton gets hurt, we will see Nick Foles in action for the first time in about a year. With that being said, do the Bears have a chance against the Cardinals? Probably not. It's a tough game for me. As a Bears fan, I always want to choose my team. But as a realist and as a fantasy analyst, I have to believe that you have to stay away from every single Bear in this matchup other than David Montgomery.
Yep. I'd stay away from them all. I think the Cardinals are going to embarrass them. The Cardinals will get their 30-plus a game, and I don't think the Bears will get more than 10.
So here's the situation, guys. Cardinals score 40. Let's say Cardinals score 43 and the Bears score 7. Does Matt Nagy get fired?
That's not the way these idiots in the front office think. And nobody, they don't blame Ted Phillips enough in Chicago. They blame Nagy. Ted Phillips is his goddamn boss, and Phillips needs to go.
I agree.
Well, don't you know Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace are the football guys?
Yeah. If you guys not that I advocate it, but if you guys want a fun drinking game, listen to a Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace press conference and take a drink out of your alcohol every time they say the word collaboration or collaborative or collaborative environment. You'll be sauced after 10 minutes. It'll be horrible.
Go ahead, Mouse. What do you got streaming this week?
All right, so I'll go with my streamers first before I hit my bets. For quarterback this week, I got Tua at the versus the New York Giants and Taylor Heineke versus the Raiders. Just a little clarification. All these guys are 50% rostered or less. It's been a couple weeks since we've done this. But yeah, Tua and Taylor Heineke. At running back, I got Sony Michel versus Jacksonville. It's an even better play if Darrell Henderson is out for this week. He's exactly at 50% rostered on Yahoo.
Okay.
And then Ty Johnson versus the Eagles. So I could see the Jets playing from behind and Ty Johnson catching a bunch of dump-off passes. Wide receiver, I got T.Y. Hilton versus Houston. T.Y. Hilton in his career against Houston has completely annihilated the Texans. I believe he averages around 95 yards per game against them. And then Josh Reynolds, wide receiver for the Detroit Lions against the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings are allowing the second most fantasy points per game to the wide receiver position. Josh Reynolds does have a connection with Jared Goff going back to their Rams days. And we saw last week Josh Reynolds did have a solid game going up against the Bears. Tight end, I got Foster Moreau versus the Washington football team. With Darren Waller out, Foster Moreau did come in one game this year that Darren Waller missed, and he was very serviceable at the tight end position. And then Gerald Everett versus the San Francisco 49ers. Gerald Everett has seen 8 targets, 4 targets, and 9 targets over the last 3 games since Russell Wilson has been back.
How
there we go, guys.
To do anything during the week? How many leagues are you in?
So it's only 10 this year. The last 2 years it was 19 and 18.
And 7 as a commissioner.
Yes. Yeah.
Are you counting the fantasy basketball in that number as well, Ty, or is that strictly football?
That is just fantasy football.
Because I know you're in probably at least 10 basketball leagues too.
I only do one fantasy basketball league.
Is fantasy basketball fun?
I enjoy fantasy basketball. It's my least favorite fantasy sport to do. Well, other than fantasy NASCAR. Fantasy basketball is my least favorite real sport to do. But I need something to keep me engaged and sharp between football season and baseball season. Because fantasy baseball is actually probably my favorite fantasy sport, just with the amount of time and numbers and all that. I'm a big numbers guy. Fantasy baseball is perfect for me.
And don't forget, what was it called originally? Rotisserie.
Yes, Roto League.
Because it was developed at a rotisserie restaurant in New York. And I used to see people that would play fantasy baseball, and it would make me dizzy. I couldn't ever go to bed because of the teams on the West Coast. It would drive me crazy and everything else. And, there'd be no fantasy baseball if not for fantasy football, if not for rotisserie baseball.
All right. And then
with that being said,
couple bets
go
here.
ahead, Ty.
So I have 2 1-unit bets, a half a unit bet, and 1 2-unit bet. So I'm going to go with the 1-unit bets first because the half a unit bet and the 2-unit bets kind of coincide together. So the first one's Joe Mixon over 19.5 rushing attempts. Joe Mixon's been carrying the ball over 25 times per game over the last 3 games. The Chargers' run defense is a run funnel. That's the way to beat them, is on the ground, not through the air. I think Joe Mixon, they just ride him like they have been over the last couple weeks. And then Arizona minus 7.5 against the Bears. Space touched on it earlier. Arizona is 6-0 on the road this year, and they have won every single one of those games by 10 points or more. I think 7.5 is a very generous line. And then the 2-unit. Oh, go ahead, Space.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm surprised it was that low.
Yeah, I thought it would be a lot higher too.
I thought it'd be double digits.
Yep, it's 7.5, which is a pretty generous line. And then
I might have to lay a little. I might have to lay a little.
So this is kind of with the streamers here. 2 units, T.Y. Hilton over 33.5 receiving yards against the Texans. Like I touched on earlier, T.Y. Hilton averages around 95 yards per game against the Texans. He's going to go out there and annihilate them. And then I got a half a unit bet on T.Y. Hilton anytime touchdown at plus 190 on the DraftKings Sportsbook.
You think I'm normal?
Nice. We know you're not. That's why we love you.
All right, I'm going down to have a Lou Malnati's pizza. And, guys, good luck this week. I mean, and then finally I'll be right when next week comes that I say, this is the last bye week. It's almost over, boys.
Next week is the season finale of the regular season of the fantasy football season.
Wow. Absolutely. So best of luck this week, guys, with all your matchups. As always, join our guy, Harry the Greek, Harry Berg, coming up here at 8 o'clock for his Over-Under podcast for a whole
Wonder what
bunch
he
of
thinks about. I'm going to have
bets.
to listen to Harry to see what he thinks about the Bears-Cardinals game.
As always, be sure to check out all the other shows here on the 1252 Sports Network. Sunday evenings, we've got our guy David Schuster with the Schuster Express. Wednesdays, we've got the Fat Mike Chicago Sports Show.
He's the
Thursdays,
boss.
We've got the Bears Fans with the Brain Show with our guy Alan Bratcher. And Sunday mornings now, we've got the Hard Count podcast as well. So lots of good content being shared here.
Where's Hube? Hube and Views.
Hube. I completely skipped over Fred. My God.
Oh, Freddie. I am telling
inexcusable.
You.
Inexcusable. So our guy, Fred Hubner, has his show on Monday nights, Hube's Views and Brews. Terrific watch. He covers all sports as well as all things beer, so be sure to give him a listen. I produced that show enough that I should know exactly what time it starts. Monday at 7 p.m. So have a good.
My little girl came to get me to tell me it's time to go down for dinner, Dad.
All right. Have a good week, guys.
Everybody
be sure
have
to
a
check
great
out our
weekend and good
content.
luck.
And take care. Have a good week. We'll
Be
see
well,
you next
stay
Friday.
healthy,
Good
get
luck,
a
guys.
booster, do whatever.